Welcome to Science, but not as you know it. Hello, my friend. It's Dream Whisper again. You've stumbled into the only place on the internet where science wears mismatched socks, burps during interviews, and occasionally moonwalks off cliffs of logic. This isn't your high school textbook talking. No, sir. This is science with a twist, a limp, and maybe a mild concussion. Here, Newton doesn't wait for apples. He dodges flying goats. Einstein's hair isn't the weirdest thing in the lab. And every scientific breakthrough starts with the phrase, "Hold my tea, I've got an idea." So grab your emotional support llama, put on your anti-reality goggles, and prepare to laugh, cry, and question your degree in interpretive astrophysics. Because in this timeline, science didn't evolve. It tripped, rolled down a hill, and accidentally reinvented itself as a podcast. Ready? Good. Let's begin the most educational mistake you'll ever enjoy. Let me know if you want to push this further or tweak the voice. Part 1. The origin of gravity and the slippery sausage incident. Let's abandon the tired tale of Newton and the apple. No fruit, no goat, no farmyard drama. Picture this instead, a sunny afternoon. Newton, ever the deep thinker, is walking across a village square in search of existential meaning and a sandwich. Suddenly, a street vendor's rogue sausage, overcooked, overgreased, and highly projectile, launches from a sputtering grill. Impact point, Newton's left eyebrow. The force was minimal, the dignity loss, immeasurable. As the sausage slowly slid off his forehead and flopped onto his quill notes, Newton whispered the phrase that would echo through physics history, "What goes up needs a napkin." Hypothesis number 1, greasy meat trajectory and spontaneous theorizing. Newton wasn't inspired by falling objects. He was trying to understand why meat, when ejected sideways from hot metal, chooses the least probable target, the face of a man in deep thought. Had it hit a pigeon instead? We might now have Newton's first law of bird confusion. Alternate reality musings. If Newton had been eating tofu instead, physics might have become the least tasty science ever invented. Thank heavens for questionable street meat, the science of accidents. Let's face it, most great discoveries begin with oops, penicillin, moldy dish, microwave, melted candy bar, gravity, Newton's forehead, one flying bratwurst at a time. Comparison, Newton versus every chef ever. Newton accidentally launched into science. Chefs accidentally launched dinner into physics. Both still not forgiven by pigeons. Final thought. Science doesn't require a lab. Sometimes all it needs is bad timing, a cheap grill, and one greasy link of destiny. So next time life throws a sausage at you, don't duck. You might be about to revolutionize the world. Part 2. Galileo's telescope and the accidental peeping incident. Before Galileo turned his spyglass skyward, he tested it in far more questionable directions. The original goal? Astronomy? The unexpected result? Accidentally spying on his neighbor, Mrs. Botticelli, watering her plants in what could only be described as aggressively Renaissance undergarments. This led to the first recorded scientific journal entry that included the phrase, and then she waved. Hypothesis number 2. Accidental voyeurism accelerates science. Had Galileo not been caught in awkward eye contact, we may have never perfected lens alignment. Nothing sharpens your optics like the threat of a scandal. Alternate universe theory. If he had turned the telescope just a few degrees to the right, he might have discovered Saturn a decade early, or witnessed Mr. Botticelli practicing interpretive lute dancing. History is full of missed opportunities. Galileo versus every modern influencer Galileo. looked into the stars, found moons. Influencers look into ring lights, find doom scrolls. Both misunderstood geniuses with a questionable audience. Final thought. Sometimes discovery begins with awkwardness, and sometimes the lens that shows you Jupiter also shows you a neighbor's cat using your herb garden as a toilet. But that's science. Messy, majestic, and occasionally half-naked. So point your telescope carefully and prepare to be amazed or slightly traumatized. And now for something completely different and somehow just as ridiculous. Part 3, Einstein's hair, quantum flatulence, and the relativity of smell. The aroma lingered, defying all known laws of airflow. A lesser man might have opened a window, but Einstein, he formulated a theory. Hypothesis number 3, stink as a wave-particle duality. Could a smell both exist and not exist until observed, or worse, inhaled? Could flatulence be measured, not just in decibels, but in regret per cubic meter? Thus began a subchapter in physics nobody talks about: gastrorelativity. Alternate timeline, the gas that changed time. If at that moment Einstein had access to Febreze trademark, we might live in a universe where time is measured not by clocks, but by air freshener half-life. Meet you in 3 spritzes would be a standard phrase in quantum laboratories. Einstein versus every college dorm. Einstein proved light bends around gravity. Dorms proved pizza stench bends around corners. Both environments where socks go missing in higher dimensions. The unspoken law. Einstein's real breakthrough wasn't E equals mc squared. It was understanding that nothing, not even dignity, escapes the gravitational pull of public restroom embarrassment. Final thought. Sometimes genius isn't about solving the biggest problems. It's about surviving them with your hair intact and your pride only slightly singed. So next time life locks you in with your own existential stench, remember, even Einstein had off days. And as the lingering echoes of quantum flatulence fade into the corridors of science, we pivot, gracefully, like a confused flamingo, into the next chapter of accidental brilliance. Part 4, Marie Curie and the glowing pickle of doom. Long before glow-in-the-dark was a party trick, Marie Curie was knee-deep in radioactive radishes and occasionally luminous laundry. But few know of her most questionable experiment, the infamous glowing pickle. It began as a midnight snack, a misplaced test tube, 1 bite, 1 spark, 1 emergency mustache singeing. Hypothesis number 4, ionized vegetables and culinary catastrophes. Curie's notebook described it as a fascinating interaction between sodium ions and unplanned electrical surges. Her assistant described it as the scariest sandwich break of my life. The pickle glowed, hissed, and possibly whispered French insults. Alternate universe scenario. Had she dipped a croissant instead, we may have discovered flaky radiation shielding. Sadly, all we got was a 2-week pickle ban and several glowing mice. Curie versus modern cooking shows. Curie discovered polonium and radium. Cooking shows discover new ways to ruin potatoes. Both occasionally use fire. Neither explain how the smoke alarm always knows. The pickle incident legacy. Though not her proudest moment, the glowing pickle is now replicated in classrooms around the world. Minus the scientific rigor and plus 1 terrified janitor. Final thought. Curie taught us that even Nobel Prize winners can have snack-related regrets. Science is not just data and discovery, it's hunger, hazard, and occasionally a pickle that lights up your lab coat and your life. Both environments where socks go missing in higher dimensions. The unspoken law, Einstein's real breakthrough, wasn't E equals mc squared. It was understanding that nothing, not even dignity, escapes the gravitational pull of public restroom embarrassment. Final thought. Sometimes genius isn't about solving the biggest problems. It's about surviving them with your hair intact and your pride only slightly singed. So next time life locks you in with your own existential stench, remember, even Einstein had off days. After the pickle debacle and several suspiciously glowing sandwich wrappers, we march boldly into the next tale, where chemistry, chaos, and cheese collide in ways no syllabus ever dared. Part 5. The Schrödinger Fondue Experiment. Everyone knows Schrödinger for his unfortunate cat, but fewer remember the night he nearly invented interdimensional dairy. It was a winter evening in Vienna. The fire crackled, the wine flowed, and Schrödinger, having grown tired of quantum cats and people asking, "So is it dead or not?" decided to host a fondue party. Hypothesis number 5, cheese as a quantum medium. Midway through dipping his 14th cube of rye bread into molten Gruyere, Schrödinger noticed something odd. The cheese didn't melt normally, it shimmered, it pulsed. It briefly opened a portal to what appeared to be a parallel universe where everyone wore monocles and screamed in reverse. His colleague Dietrich swore he saw a second Schrödinger waving from inside the pot, holding a smaller fondue fork. They made eye contact. Awkward nods were exchanged. Then the cheese burped and everything returned to normal. Alternate universe theory. In universe 42, fondue is used to communicate with cows via edible Morse code. Schrödinger is both prime minister and part-time accordion assassin. Schrödinger versus every dinner host ever Schrödinger turned a snack into a spatial anomaly. Hosts turned salad into a personality trait. Both responsible for at least one guest crying in the bathroom. Final cheese thought quantum mechanics may confuse most, but melted cheese speaks to all realities. Schrödinger didn't mean to bend time with a fondue pot, but when physics and lactose combine, anything is possible. Next time your dip bubbles a little too rhythmically, maybe don't poke it, or do. Who knows which version of you will pull the fork back? And just when you thought it was safe to stir the cheese again, we slide face first into the next scientific scandal, this time involving magnets, mood swings, and an emotional support octopus. Part 6. Tesla's magnetic mood ring and the cephalopod conspiracy. Long before Elon, there was Nikola. Tesla, inventor, visionary, and proud owner of a suspiciously judgmental pigeon, once tried to build a machine to measure human emotion using only magnets, shoe polish, and the tears of disappointed interns. Hypothesis number 6. Emotions are magnetic, at least when you're sleep deprived. Tesla believed the human heart emitted tiny waves of electromagnetic sass. So he built a device, a shimmering metal helmet wired to a Victorian espresso machine. When worn, it allegedly amplified feelings into colorful auras, or as he called them, mood halos. He tested it first on himself. The result? The machine screamed anxiety in Morse code and set fire to his trousers. Then he tried it on his pet octopus, named Linda. Linda turned bright fuchsia, slapped Tesla twice with an inkwell, and escaped through a window, thus inventing emotional boundaries. Alternate history tangent. If Tesla had succeeded, therapy today would involve strapping on a colander and yelling into a hairdryer. Instead of medication, you just rotate your head to happy like a dial. Tesla versus every modern inventor. Tesla electrocuted himself for vibes. Moderns drop a drone and cry on TikTok. Both believed failure meant not enough glitter. Final magnetic thought. Maybe emotions aren't meant to be measured. Maybe they're meant to be felt. Or occasionally screamed into the void while an octopus judges you. But one thing's certain. If someone offers to read your aura with a waffle iron, ask if they studied under Tesla. And as the emotionally unstable octopus paddled into legend, the world turned its weird gaze to the skies and to a scandal involving planetary names, cosmic flatulence, and a very bitter dwarf planet. Part 7. The Pluto Rebellion and the Space Burrito Conundrum. Once upon a not-so-astronomical time, Pluto was a proud planet. Small, yes. Cold, of course. But still part of the gang. Until 2006, when a group of astronomers, presumably fueled by decaf and vengeance, declared Pluto not a real planet. Pluto's reaction? Cosmic tantrum. Hypothesis number 7, celestial bodies have feelings. 2. Following the demotion, Pluto allegedly hacked NASA's email and signed them up for thousands of space burrito coupons. This caused mass confusion during the Mars rover mission, when instead of soil samples, the rover received a tortilla wrapped around a rock labeled planet sauce. The astronomers' denial. "We don't know how Pluto got our password," said Dr. Jenkins, "but we now owe $12,473 to an intergalactic delivery service. Also, someone keeps drawing mustaches on Uranus." Pluto versus every rejected side character. Pluto, exiled from the party, starts its own nightclub. Side characters, ignored until fanfic gives them a sword. Both unexpectedly iconic and possibly full of gas. Alternate cosmic history. If Pluto had been a food truck instead of a celestial object, we'd now be orbiting Quesadilla 9 and saluting the Galaxy Supreme combo. Final interstellar thought science may demote your title, but it can't demote your sass. Pluto may be small, cold, and 5.9 billion kilometers away, but it's closer to our hearts than Mercury ever was. So next time someone says you're not enough, remember Pluto and send them a burrito. Meanwhile, back on Earth, and in the year 1492, plus or minus a few quantum glitches, things were getting technologically confusing. Part 8. Da Vinci's Time Blender and the Cybermouse Incident. Leonardo da Vinci, painter, inventor, beard grower extraordinaire, once dreamed of building a machine that could travel through time. Unfortunately, his blueprints were partially eaten by a rat named Lorenzo, who, after licking spilled ink mixed with espresso, became the first recorded rodent to achieve temporary sentience. Lorenzo, now hyper-intelligent and oddly sarcastic, began rewriting Da Vinci's designs using something suspiciously close to Python code. Hypothesis number 8, espresso plus ink equals technological rodent awakening. Historians believe that if Lorenzo had been left unsupervised 5 minutes longer, he could have invented TikTok. Thankfully, Da Vinci caught him mid-keystroke and instead used his notes to invent a spoon that also shaved cheese. Alternate timeline possibility. In Universe 43B, Lorenzo is now CEO of Mousebook, a time travel social network where people accidentally request their own great-great-grandparents. Da Vinci versus every startup founder Da Vinci. Sketch flying machines that forgot lunch. Startup founders pitch flying machines that forgot morals. Both probably owned a vest. Scientific legacy. Although Da Vinci's time blender never made it past beta testing, it turned 3 pineapples into a screaming eggplant, His encounter with Lorenzo led to the first ethical debate in science. Should rats be allowed lab coats? Final time tangled thought invention is messy. Genius is unpredictable. And sometimes history pivots not on kings or queens, but on a rat who learned to code, rejected cheese, and screamed, "I'm more than a stereotype." So next time you feel behind in life, remember, you still have more control than a rodent with a caffeine addiction and access to medieval engineering. And just when you thought it couldn't get colder or weirder, the scientific sled veers sharply south. Part 9. The Antarctic Negotiation and the Penguin That Spoke Latin. In 1912, famed explorer and part-time poet Sir Reginald Thistlewax set out on an expedition to the South Pole with 3 scientists, 2 sleds, and zero comprehension of how cold actually was. After getting mildly lost, they ended up in the same circle for 3 days. Reginald stumbled upon something no map had ever marked: a penguin wearing spectacles and scribbling equations into the snow. The penguin looked up and, in surprisingly fluent Latin, muttered, "Ego sum centrum scientiae." Translation: I am the center of science. Hypothesis number 9. Sub-zero intelligence surges in tuxedoed birds. Turns out Antarctic penguins had formed an underground council of philosophers, mathematicians, and slightly snobby poets who had been watching humans fumble for centuries. Reginald, despite severe frostbite and modest brain freeze, began formal negotiations using interpretive dance and stale crumpets. Alternate universe? Nope. This one's weird enough. Some claim Reginald hallucinated the entire event. Others point to the feather-covered copy of Euclid's Elements he brought back. One bold claim suggests the penguin later co-authored a paper on cryogenic metaphysics under the pseudonym Dr. Icy Waddles. Scientists versus penguin scientists publish in Nature. Penguins publish in Snow. Both very bad at using pens. Legacy of the expedition. Though Reginald returned with mild pneumonia and a lifelong craving for sardines, his expedition was later honored with the Penguin Peace Prize, a small ice sculpture shaped like a reluctant explorer. Final Arctic reflection science is often seen as serious, but beneath every frozen foot and frost-bitten idea lies something magical, even if that magic is wearing a tuxedo and correcting your Latin grammar. So remember, never underestimate an Antarctic philosopher with flippers. They've been silently judging your data this whole time. And just when we thought humanity had already done everything it could with ducks, wigs, and existential tap dancing, someone decided to put a banana in a toaster. Part 10. The Quantum Banana and the Time-Traveling Toaster. And just when you thought things couldn't get any more absurd, science decides to peel back another layer of the universe. Chapter 1. The Accidental Discovery. It all began in a small, cluttered kitchen in the heart of London. Dr. Penelope Pumpernickel, a renowned physicist known for her unconventional experiments, was attempting to create a new form of renewable energy using household appliances. Her latest endeavor involved a toaster, a banana, and a questionable understanding of quantum mechanics. As she inserted the banana into the toaster, a sudden surge of energy erupted, creating a miniature wormhole in her kitchen. The banana vanished, leaving behind only a faint smell of burnt toast and a sense of impending adventure. Chapter 2. The Banana's Journey. Unbeknownst to Dr. Pumpernickel, the banana had been transported to the year 3025, landing in the hands of a group of futuristic scientists who had never seen such a fruit. Mistaking it for an alien artifact, they began to study it, inadvertently unlocking secrets of the universe that had eluded humanity for centuries. The banana became a symbol of knowledge and power, leading to the establishment of a new religion, bananology. Followers believed that the banana held the key to understanding existence itself. Chapter 3: The Time-Traveling Toaster. Back in 2025, Dr. Pumpernickel's toaster began exhibiting strange behaviors. It would toast bread before it was inserted, emit sounds resembling Gregorian chants, and occasionally levitate. Realizing the toaster had become a conduit for time travel, she decided to harness its power to retrieve her banana. After several failed attempts and a brief detour to the Jurassic period, she successfully traveled to 3025, only to find herself in the midst of a religious ceremony venerating her banana. Chapter 4: The Great Debate. Dr. Pumpernickel's arrival caused a stir among the bananologists. Some saw her as a prophet, while others considered her a heretic. A grand debate ensued, discussing the implications of the banana's origin and its true purpose. In a twist of irony, the banana, now overripe and mushy, was declared a sacred relic, and Dr. Pumpernickel was appointed as the High Priestess of Bananology. Chapter 5: The Return Home. After a week of banana-themed rituals and feasts, Dr. Pumpernickel decided it was time to return to her own time. Using the toaster, she traveled back to 2025, bringing with her a newfound appreciation for the unpredictable nature of science. She published her findings in a paper titled The Quantum Banana, a study of accidental time travel and religious evolution, which was met with both acclaim and skepticism. Final thoughts. Science is often a journey of unexpected twists and turns, where even the most absurd ideas can lead to groundbreaking discoveries. So the next time you find yourself questioning the logic of an experiment, remember Dr. Pumpernickel and her quantum banana. After all, in the realm of science, anything is possible, even a time-traveling toaster. And so, dear listener, if you've made it this far without melting from laughter, exploding from confusion, or accidentally creating a black hole in your microwave, congratulations. You are now officially certified as a Level 7 quantum goofball. Remember, science isn't always about the right answers. Sometimes it's about asking the wrong questions with enough confidence that even the universe goes, "Wait, what?" So close your eyes, dream of time-traveling squirrels and gravitational noodles, and may your sleep be as deep as a scientist's regret after mixing Mentos and soda in a submarine. Until next time, this is Dream Whisper, signing off with a gentle whisper and a firm high five. Good night, my friend. Stay weird.